Welcome back. We are now in part two of our conversation with Sudhakar Rao, Director Branding, the ICFI Group. Sudhakar Rao comes with a mechanical engineering background and is an alumnus of the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. We are talking with him about entrepreneurship as a career choice. And in this second part, we will speak with him about what are the skills that are required, what are the educational qualifications that are needed, and what are some of the other facets of being a good entrepreneur. Sudhakar, the first and direct question to you. How do I know that I have in it to be an entrepreneur?
Sir, thank you very much for having me again. You will know that you are an entrepreneur if you have failed and recognized your failure as a starting point. But before that, have you ever defied any tradition? Have you ever defied any diktat given by your teacher, parent, society, and moved away from that expected conventional decision making? And then you failed. Yes, you are the material to succeed as an entrepreneur. That is very, very fundamental.
Since a lot of this audience are going to be school-going children, can you give an example of what it is to break the diktat of a parent? A parent gives a certain diktat, you disobey that, because you said that that is the definition of having the urge for entrepreneurship.
It could be as simple as your father or mother says, don't take the cycle out, and you take out and you fall down and have scratches. It begins something like that. Parents as parents would always like you to be safe. There's nothing wrong in that. But entrepreneurs are not built, or the spine is not built in the confines of your home. So small, unconventional things that you take out. For example, if your parents do not allow you to travel to a certain location which is distant from your home, you still take that journey. You take all precautions, but you still take the journey. You come back with some kind of joy and success stories. You participate in a competition, you win and you fail. But the moment you come back, you have an applause on both the outcomes.
All right. Give me one example of where a kid can go and flout rules laid down by the school teacher. A parent is very understandable. I think school teachers don't understand.
Okay, that's pretty interesting and challenging as well. I'll tell you something. There is a maths problem given to you in the school. Say you are in 6th or 7th, and there is an expected way to solve that to get the answer. But you write in a different way. Your steps are different. You get there, but your steps are different. Even if you don't get there, it's fine. But the teachers will say that this is not the way I taught you. This is not the way you are supposed to solve the problem. That is unconventional to start with at a very, very small level. The PT sir or the teacher will not give you the ball for you to play in the rain. But then you will somehow take out the ball which you brought from home, and 4 or 5 of you are actually dribbling on the football ground against the diktats and the conventions and the rules of the school. These are small examples again.
School principals and school owners who hear you may not like what you're saying.
They also don't like what I'm going to say, that if any time any cycle tire is flat, don't go and jump ahead to punish that kid. Be happy that there is life in the school.
Absolutely. So you would say, if I restate this, you would say the ability to be different, the willingness to take risks is one of the important skills for entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
Would there be anything else?
Yes. Those guys who have largely been in backbenches, at a school context I'm mentioning, they have brilliant ideas. Nobody has listened to them in a traditional context. Today, I am sure everybody is listening to them. The class sizes have come lesser. The circuit of a tube light in 8th standard or 9th standard, which is not part of your physics textbook, can be a very good solution. Encourage them. Science fairs, we'll ask them to make products, use diodes, use electrodes, use some kind of wires, copper wires, connect and produce some product. the joy of creating something with your own hands by the pocket money given by your parents to produce something in your science fair, it is where the birth of an entrepreneur takes place.
Um, I'm increasingly getting a view that more than education, it is these skills that matter. But is there a proper course in entrepreneurship? Because entrepreneurship just cannot be that I bravely jump into the swimming pool. There must be more things than that. So is there a graduation for entrepreneurship? Is there an educational qualification that you would recommend for people?
Yes, while we are still talking to the school kids and the school ecosystems, I am a very strong votary of education to continue. We are not saying that we are going to dramatize, romanticize the school dropouts becoming billionaires. Those stories are exceptions. Exceptions can never become strategies. I want the education should be fundamental. Somebody was asking me, what is education? So education is character building when nobody is watching you, when you are alone, what kind of behaviors and decisions that you take, and you stand by those decisions. That is education. So education will build the character. You are there. You need to understand everything that education gives you, and you need to study up to your UG and PG as well. But in between, you can become an entrepreneur. Continue to be a student because lifelong learning is something which is advised. Let that begin right away. And entrepreneur who begins so early in school, at school level, will have enough time to fail and become a serial entrepreneur perhaps. Now, is there any course for you to teach? Yes. The exposure and the ecosystem by the school and the college will have to be in terms of bringing in successful entrepreneurs, thought leaders, bringing in case studies, direct meeting with the protagonists of the cases themselves, those who have solved problems and built businesses, big or small. Even in the neighborhood kirana shop, or if you just look around outside, we'll have many cases, many successes where people have twisted, changed, radically modified certain things and then built their businesses. I think man intrinsically and anthropologically is an entrepreneur. In between various systems and formal education, sorry to say, has actually dampened that spirit. But the same formal education can build experimentation into its curriculum and give some kind of leeway and exposure by opening their doors and windows, then I think we can bring back that spirit. But education is extremely important, and education can give rise to entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs who are well educated will be very nicely respected by their employees. So it is a must.
All right, let me ask you one very important question. Nobody likes to fail. I don't think an engineer would say, I qualified not in 4 years, but in 6 years. No, doctors would not want to fail.
Right.
Even tough professions like the chartered accountancy or in the Indian administrative service, or when somebody writes a CAT exam, nobody wants to fail. Of course, in a CAT exam, by failure, I mean somebody does not make it to the list. Nobody wants to fail. But yet we are saying that I read somewhere that no, the venture capitalists look whether you have had failure, business failure in your CV. How easy it is to take in failure in your stride, especially when it has been a dream project of yours.
I think the mark of entrepreneurship will have to have what is called shock absorbing capacities. Only when you fail, you become stronger. There's a concept called anti-fragile. I'm sure it is a book written by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. So what is this concept? When there is a solid object, if pressure is put on that object, it will actually crumble. It will break. But examples of anti-fragile nature, let's say muscle. If you put a lot of pressure on a muscle, it gets stronger. If you put a lot of exercise to your brain is another one where it becomes much stronger. I think the character of an individual will have to withstand the onslaught of pressure And that is what is the making of entrepreneurship is all about. Yes, nobody would like to fail, but when you do, the guts and the intellectual honesty that you work with to admit that you really failed will open up lots of thoughts in the sense that my founder has taught me a couple of things. One, when something goes wrong, say that something has gone wrong, admit. And the second one very quickly is that I should have handled it in a different way. Don't try to look for a scapegoat or try to blame it on someone else. This is the mark of entrepreneurship. How do you see the problems? How do you see failures? Failures are bound to happen. There's no way that you cannot fail. But then eventually you will correct it and then you will succeed. Hope I answered the question.
I agree that you have answered largely the question. I still have one query on that as a fallout. Does it mean that to succeed as an entrepreneur, you have to necessarily fail?
I would take the risk of saying that as if it's a formula.
Okay.
But then to all the brilliant kids who are listening to this conversation out there and the parents, I think let us factor in failure. If we don't talk about it and if we keep taking chances that we will be successful, then we are in for a greater disappointment. And I want to quote one very important thing. I'm sure all of you are aware of Justice John Roberts of US Supreme Court, who delivered a commencement speech. And I'll take only half a minute to quote. In one of the points that he addressed the school kids, I wish you had bad luck again from time to time so that you will be conscious of the role of chance in life and understand that your success is not completely deserved and that the failure of others is not completely deserved either. So if we walk out of this room and this discussion with a belief that a great deal of our success and failure is also dedicated to chance, then we will be much more empathetic. One, as parents, to understand the kids and the entrepreneurs who fail, if any. The other one, to treat the classmates, friends, and fellow entrepreneurs, how much they have gone through in spite of putting a lot of efforts if they have really failed.
I will move to the closing part of our conversation. I very strongly believe, right or wrong, that it's pretty lonely at the top. Whether as a CEO or as an entrepreneur, it's pretty lonely at the top. And in a situation where you're not able to turn around to people, because there are lots of people who actually look up to you and you are scared, you are worried because like the proverbial statement goes, the buck stops here. Can I turn to somebody for help? Can a top-notch entrepreneur also have, I don't know what word to use it, maybe loosely put, can he have a mentor?
Yes. I think within the Indian entrepreneurship network, those who are junior entrepreneurs who have just begun their journey, I'm not talking about startups.
Yeah.
Little senior than startups, for example, they always have senior entrepreneurs mentoring them. And I have seen some of the CAs who are extremely successful as businessmen. I mean, that's been my observation. They have had the benefit of looking at various businesses and then they mentored some of the small entrepreneurs. And that buddy network is actually doing a great deal of job. For startups anyway, you need to have mentoring and mentors are required. Experienced executives who are available in the market, who are willing to actually spend their time and energy for building your organization and partaking a little bit of the dream that you have dreamt. If that is a fit, I'm sure the mentorship is possible. But senior entrepreneurs mentoring junior entrepreneurs is what I have already seen. And you need that cushion. It is not possible that you will be able to see all the pitfalls and the problems that you have created yourself in a way. You need someone else from distance to look at that and advise you.
Okay, that was very, very nice interacting with you, Sudhakar. look forward that we can have more interactions with you in the months ahead. Thank you very, very much for being a wonderful guest. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to also thank all the audience who have been watching this program. And once again, thanks for your team for inviting me and coordinating with my team. Pleasure.
Thank you.